In this video, I am going to explain about the weak self and unowned self. Okay, just I created one sample application here. Okay, so in this just I created one home view controller. Once we run the application, just it will load the view controller, and from on the button action we are navigating to the home view controller. Okay, just I'm running this application now. See here in the UI, if you see here in the view controller, this is the view controller, nothing, just I added one button, and tapping on the button it will navigate to the home view controller. In the home view controller also I have one button, here nothing, just I tapping on the back button. Okay, so here in the home view controller, nothing, by default it is popping back to the view controller. So I added one deinit method extra in the home view controller. So before we are discussing about the weak self and unowned self, we need to discuss about the deinit method also. Okay, so deinit method, it is a block of code actually. So deinit method will allow some block of code. This code will execute only when there is no references or holding in the memory. Let's suppose here home view controller is there. In the home view control, there are number of methods or variables. Okay, so everything it will be stored in the memory. Okay, everything it will be stored in the memory. So once you back to the view controller from home view controller and you are back to the view controller, then it will be release everything because there is a navigation UI navigation stack. Okay, so once you are running the application, and the navigation stack holding the view controller object. Okay, so in the view controller it will be stored in the stack. If you have multiple view controller, when you go forward direction, all view controller will be stored in the stack. When you pop back to the root view controller or view controller, it will release. So now what will happen, see, now it is loaded in the view controller. This view controller is loaded in the active memory and it will be there in the stack. Okay, now when you move forward direction, so navigation stack contains the view controller and home view controller both. If you have another login view controller and you tap on button here, if there is any other view controller, that is also it will be stored in the navigation controller. When you come back, let's suppose if this is the home view controller, when you tap on back, it will remove from the stack. When you remove from the stack, the resources whatever it is allocated automatically will release. Okay, so here whatever the methods are variables holding the memory or addressing the reference of object, it will getting release everything. Okay, so this, if in worst case still it is there in memory, once you are navigating backward direction, if it is still there in memory, this method it won't execute actually. Okay, so this is about the deinit method. So in this particular home view controller, if it is holding any reference or address in the memory, this method it won't execute. So that we can understand that there is something memory issues there. Okay, let's see when it won't execute and how we need to make it is executed by using the weak and self. Okay, so basically weak and self both are used to manage the memory. Okay, here weak self and outside. Okay, both are used to manage memory in the application. Okay, so and both are used to both are both are not holding the strong reference. Both are not increasing the reference counting. So here, right, so exactly I can say right here, when there is a retain count is 0, then this method will execute. Okay, when the retain count is 0 means that there is no variable or method not holding in the memory. Okay, now I hope this bit clear. Just we will see in the practical. Okay, so let's assume that here basically I will simulate one API call here to make it understand this concept here. So let's assume that in the once you are in the home view controller, okay, after login or whatever it may be, in the home view controller you are navigated from view controller to home view controller. In the home view controller you are calling one API. Okay, you are calling one API which will complete the it's supposed to complete the 15 seconds or 10 seconds. So but what happened when you before 10 seconds you are navigating back to the view controller, just you come to the home view controller from the view controller, and before completing that API task which will take around 10 seconds, before that 10 seconds you are navigating back to the view controller. Now once you navigate back to the view controller, the home view controller it's not holding in the memory, right? So what will happen after 10 seconds if any method we are trying to execute, what will happen? We will see that. Okay, I'm trying to simulate that API call. Just I'm creating one file here, saying that file name I'm taking as Swift file API manager, creating one class. Just I'm trying to simulate. I'm not implementing the actual API. Just I'm trying to simulate this. And I'll create one singleton method. Perform API call. For this method, inputs are URL string, and response type. So here I will take a one model class also here, shift file, use it model. I can take it as a struct user, struct user. It may have the property of name. Okay, so based on the API, these properties, right, it's based on the API response. Okay, just for understanding, I'm taking on a user model here and confirming the user response is user type, and the completion handler, this is the closer. In the completion handler, the result the user object, and it is error. Okay, and this closer will return empty, it won't return anything. Okay, so here, okay, so here if I'm making a API call, once it will take the one URL and URL session, and based on the response we will use the JSON decoder to update this model object. Once model object is ready, then we are passing that model object from where it is calling. Okay, so here dispatch dot main dot after. Okay, so after 5 seconds, okay, after 5, let's assume that to complete this getting the user object 5 seconds, once you are getting success after 5 seconds, okay, so completion block will execute. Completion will have the result having the success or failure. One second. Completion handler success user object. Okay. So in the fail case, it will so here this name. Okay, two things I'm passing, ABC and BBC. Okay, so on the success escaping closer, because we are using the here, so here closer will execute after function return, so that we need to use the escaping closer. Okay, yes, escaping closer. So already I made one video on the escaping and non-escaping closer. This, okay, so here what will happen, after 5 seconds the user object, it's returning from where it is calling. Okay, now I will move on the home view controller. So in the home view controller, I'm calling this API call. So okay, so whatever I simulated here, API call, right, I'm trying to call here in the view did appear. So I'm calling this API manager dot shared dot perform API call. So empty user dot self completion handler, it having the result, either failure or success, anything. So after getting the response here, so you need to update some UI or you want to print something. So for now, as of now, just function UI. Just I created one method updating the UI, and here I'm printing one message. Okay, update UI method got executed. This will call inside this self dot update UI method. Okay, so now what will happen, we are making one API call here, so which will take around 5 seconds. After 5 seconds you will get the response. Based on the response you pass the data and bind to the UI. So that is what exactly it is doing. So now what we will do, we will run the application and we will navigate from view controller to home view controller. Before 5 seconds we will navigate back to the view controller. We will see. Okay, so earlier it was executed, right? Home view controller dinit method got executed. So means earlier there is no references are holding in the memory. So particular home view controller related objects or anything, method or objects. So means home view controller reference count becomes 0, then there is no memory addressing or pointing the memory. So now I will run the application. Here this is the view controller. I'm navigating to the home view controller here. Again I am, so earlier dinit method is got executed immediately. Now see, update the UI method got executed and dinit method, but if you observe that it's not execute very fast, it is holding actually. If you see, observe again, currently I'm in home view controller, view controller. Now I'm navigating to the home view controller. Immediately I am navigating back to the view controller. See, it's not printed. It is printed after some time, means after 5 seconds. What if this API will take more time? Then it will be a problem, right? It is holding memory. It will block the UI, right? It will block the UI to update, right? What if it is taking more than 5 seconds or 10 seconds? It will be a problem, right? To avoid this, we have the weak and self both. Okay, yeah, it is deallocated, but the problem, it is holding the sometime, right? It will block the user to perform the any UI operation, UI user interaction. Okay, so here should use the weak or unwanted self. So both are both will do the same actually. Both will be both are do the same work, because it won't increase the retain count, it won't hold the strong references. Look, where is the difference actually? When to use the weak references, when to use the weak self, I will explain here. So to avoid this, first we should use here in the place of closer, we should use weak self. I will explain about that. Okay, so what will happen when you make weak self, as you know, it is a current view controller reference. So when you make it as a weak, it will throw some compilation teller to make this as a optional, because it's a weak. Okay, now I will run the application again after made changes. See, now I'm in view controller. navigating to the home view controller, immediately I will back to the view controller. So immediately got executed. It's not holding anything, and but it's not executed also. Okay, so it won't execute because once you back to the view controller from home view controller, it's removed all the memory. Okay, so if there is no memory holding here, this method it won't execute, right? If it's not holding anything, it won't execute. This is expected actually. Okay, this is expected. So whatever the statements are there inside the block, it won't execute. Okay, and so under the self actually, once you are referring the self and calling any other methods also, because this is you are making as a weak, there is no retain count, right? If you remove this, it is a strong reference actually, it is a strong reference. That is the reason later it is holding some time and later it is executed. After executed, this method will execute, the init method. So now when you make this weak self, this is optional, it is nil now. So if it is self is nil, this method it won't execute, this is expected. Okay, and not required, right? Even when you navigate to the view controller, if doesn't matter what will happen in the home view controller, user no need to know, right, whether updating the UI, but it should not crash. Another way, unwound, if I replace it with the unwound, it should not be a nil actually here, right? Here the differences is, right, weak self can be nil, but unwound self cannot be nil. Cannot be a nil. Okay, so if it is nil, it will crash the application. Cannot be a nil. So no, it should not be a nil actually. If it is nil, application will crash. We'll see. Just running this here. I mean presently home view controller, sorry, view controller. I'm navigating to the home view controller and navigating back. So what will happen? It is executed. This method means there is no memory holding in the view controller. Then how it will be execute? It won't execute, right? Still after removing the memory, home view controller is removed from memory, and you are trying to call the some particular method. Okay, so obviously it will be crash. So in this scenario, we'll use the weak self. When you know this, always it will be a not nil, then you will go for unwound self. So let's assume that here view did disappear. I'm printing one message also here. Same this method I will call there. Copy here, paste here, and update UI also. when you navigate right to view controller to home view controller, this method will execute. Okay, view will disappear. Okay, so here after disappear, view controller will load it to the active memory. Okay, so there once run the application, this never will be nil actually. One self running this. See here, disappear method, it's not executed till. Okay, once we are moving to the home view controller, now this disappear method got executed after 5 seconds. See, this method will executed. So here it's got executed one time. It's so I will comment this so that you will understand. Home view controller I commented. Okay, so when you launch right and navigating to the forward direction, this will be never nil, so it won't crash. We can use this scenario unowned self. Okay, I hope people get it this weak self and unowned self, and when to use, what is the de-init method also. Okay, so I hope you people are getting this. If anything, please update in comments. I will do reply. Thanks for watching.